Well, by all indications, if all the boxes are ticked, including getting the president's signature, sign language will be the 12th official language in South Africa. The bill received unanimous backing in the National Assembly, and the president, of course, still needs to sign this amendment bill into law. Now, Dr. Rakwena Monareng, multilingual language policy implementation expert, and Bruno Druchen, who's a national director of Deaf South Africa, join us both to talk about this. Thank you so much to you both for your time. I'll start with you, Dr. Monareng. I mean, this is something that when one looks at your work at PanSALB, it's one of those that's been close to your heart. You must be happy with the latest development.
It is quite pleasing that at the end it's just coming to reality. When one counts and look at how far we're coming with this matter, all of us should collectively be very happy with what is going on and be pleased that the country itself is moving and actualizing the multilingual language agenda, the national agenda that it yes.
And for you,
we very much.
Pardon me, Dr. Monareng. I'll come back to you in just a second. For you, Bruno.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to the member in Parliament the members in Parliament that really approved this bill. We as a deaf community started in 2007 advocating Parliament to approve this bill, and in 2013 we've made a second submission as DEFSA, and then in 2015 we make our third submission. So we made 3 submissions for this, and it really took time for the members of Parliament really to realize the importance of South African Sign Language, understanding that it's a real language and that it's a language with its own structure. So we have submitted different documents to the to Parliament, and then in 2016 the deaf community in all 9 provinces marched, and 32,000 people submitted a petition. So we came with a very long journey, and when it ended by the 2nd of May, I witnessed for myself when I was sitting in Parliament, feeling that emotions and also feeling that joy that we've fought for many years. So 306 MPs approved that South African Sign Language to be the next official language. You know, political parties always have their differences, but this when this bill was presented, there was no differences. Everybody united in it was for South African Sign Language to be an official language. Nobody abstained. It was unopposed. So it was a very emotional day for all of us, for the deaf community in South Africa, after years lobbying for government to have this. So a very emotional day for us.
I can only imagine.
That, the 2nd of May will be remembered for the rest of our lives and will be recorded in history.
I can only imagine how important this day is, and we'll talk about the impact at a practical level and what does this then mean for you, Bruno, in just a second. But Dr. Monareng, going back to you, there've been, some who've said that the practicality, the implementation thereof is going to be a difficult one, and some talking about how, for them saying that this is not a universal language. There are different countries with their own sign language and regions having their own dialects. What do you say to some of those that, for them, they don't think this is important and they're opposing it?
It is very much important. I myself have made quite a lot of interaction and presentation in Parliament when it was finally requested of me to make motivation in Parliament for the 3 languages, including sign languages. And I'm very much happy that we are where we are at the moment. It is not going to be difficult. All languages have got their own essence and nature. And sign language is basically one of those languages. Implementation needs political will, financial will, and human will. I'll just call it that way, for us to implement it. If you take, for example, the English language, it has got lots of Englishes in the world. We've got our own South African languages. which is basically extracted and based on the British English version. We will do the same with the sign language community. We do have various dialects in all the provinces, and we can construct our own. We do have a sense of a bit of an orthography of our own in South Africa that represents the sign language community and version of South Africa. And it's not going to be difficult to implement it. We'll do and apply it and implement it the same way as we do with all other languages.
And how does it begin, Dr. Monareng, staying with you, how does it begin then to change also how government departments operate?
We treat sign language like any other language, like they do. When we talk about multilingualism and implementing it in the government department, we make sure that sign language is basically going to be included. The basic thing is we make it very strong at school level. Then we provide, we already know that there's a metric examination for the sign language. That is the basis that we can use. And immediately we do that, we get into teacher education, and we ensure that we strengthen element of multilingualism and make sign language one of the key languages that we've got in the moment. Remember, when you're dealing with matter of sign language, you're talking much also about cognitive right. Giving people the gumption, giving people the platform to be able to express their intelligence and to make sense of the world with all of us, so that we basically are going to move forward to add the existing body of knowledge and the way we interact, socialize economically and otherwise. That's basically how we need to do it. We not going to get any kind of a problem dealing with the challenges will come, just like we are now having serious challenges with all the 11 languages that were already being put at the forefront. Yeah.
And Bruno, this is more than just about officializing this language. It's about equal protection. It's about dignity. Let's talk about how then, do you begin to see the change after this at a practical level on a day-to-day basis?
To give you an example, first of all, I'm deaf and I use South African Sign Language every day. I communicate outside in a situation where I need to bring my South African Sign Language interpreter with. Wherever I go to meetings, I always have interpreters that interpret for me, and to create awareness and for people to understand that for me to be able to communicate with other people, I will need a sign language interpreter. So South African Sign Language, many people think this is a monkey language. This is a language without structure. When I'm signing, people think that this is not a real language, but it is a real language, as research has shown. And so there's so many misconceptions, but South African Sign Language is a thing that people can talk. Deaf people are dumb. So that is the perceptions that are out there. So we as a deaf community have lobbied for our South African Sign Language to be recognized as an official language, to have that equality, and to have them to be realized as humans with a language. So in 1994, we had 11 spoken language that has been officialized in the Constitution. So many of us living in South Africa also wanted that recognition. So that's why we have this 12th official language. So I feel that, like a doctor has said, that many people think that we only have started today when the president signs the bill and becomes law, then things are going to happen. So many things have already happened with many departments, especially with PANSALB. We've been working with PANSALB and to make sure that the work continues and to implement matters. So there were many board members that were served on PANSALB. There's a NLB specifically for South African Sign Language. They have been working very hard in looking how to implement it in the countries. We have got language boards in all provinces where a deaf person is representing South African Sign Language. So and PANSOP has been working very hard. And secondly, the Department of Justice recognizes South African Sign Language interpreters in the courts. They've got 12 accredited sign language interpreters that is operating in the courts and it's interpreting in the courts. We have 42 schools of the deaf that and 262 deaf teacher assistants that is implementing the South African Sign Language subject in schools of the deaf.
All right.
So that is many things that's already being done. Yes, we've lobbied South African Sign Language to be official language, but many things has already been done.
And just to say, well done to you both. As you say that this has been a fight, of course, we know how long it's taken. And as you say, there's still some more work to be done. So well done to you both on what, of course, you contributed to achieve thus far. Thank you so much for your time. Do appreciate it. That was Dr. Rakwena Monareng, multilingual language policy implementation expert, and Bruno Druchen, National Director of DEFSA. Thank you.